12 games into the season and everything is still going to plan. Sort of. Hello and welcome to part 106 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode we have our biggest game of the season, one could argue, away against top of the table QPR. That's right, we're not top of the table. And then we're at home against Barnsley, who are challenging for a playoff spot. Since you were last with me, generally form has been okay. We had this little bit of a three-match wobble where we didn't win for 3 games, only picking up 1 point during that time. But we seem to have had a little bit of a recovery thanks to a Checker Trade Trophy game that gave us a little bit of confidence back. And we've then gone and absolutely thumped Bury in the league in our last game. The league table looks like this, 12 games in. We are still in an automatic promotion spot. 12th, no, we're not 12th place. We're in 2nd place after 12 games, 25 points, so 2 points clear of 3rd place Tranmere. We are 6 points behind QPR, though, who are running away with it a little bit. And I looked at that thinking, well, yeah, we're in League One. QPR are obviously going to be a big club in League One. I don't know what's got into them this year. If we look at their last 4 league finishes, all in League One since they got relegated from the Championship, 16th, 15th, 14th, 8th. They haven't even finished in the playoffs in 4 years stuck down in this league. But for whatever reason, they've suddenly got really, really, really good. Hopefully, it was just a 12-game flash in the pan and we're about to put them back in their place in today's game. This is the team that we're going to be putting out there to try and do exactly that. We've got Hugo in goal, a back four of Phil Ball, Hughes, Sawyer. In fact, I have to use first names for 2 of them now, so we've got 2 Hugheses as well. So Phil Ball and Brandon Hughes, and then Sawyer and Ibrahim making up the back four with Davis, Johnson and Barber in midfield. James Ball then in behind Ruggles and Stainsby. So 2 of the players who were identified as superstars in the last episode, Michael Neal and Ali Afsharian, both sitting out. Well, starting from the bench. They're both playing very well. They're in very good form, but they were not so good in that little run where we weren't doing great, and it's actually been taking them out of the team that has seen us turn things around in the last game. So we're going to go with the team that scored 5 goals in the last match, rather than bringing back in the 2 lads who were involved in no wins in 3. If that ends up being the wrong decision, they're sat on the bench. I'm sure we can rectify things. But we get... Why is the formation all stuck all the way up there below the match stats? Come on, give me another highlight. I need to fix where the formation is. This is troubling me. So QPR have lost only... Here we go. Here's the opportunity. But I can't get hold of it because it's stuck behind the other one. And now I'm accidentally clicking on advertising hoardings. Move down. Move. Go. What is... Why? I feel like we've done this before. We just won't look at formations then. I'm not having them overlap. Overlapping just really troubles me. There you go. Let's make it so we can see that properly. And Stainsby is in behind and forces a save out of the QPR keeper. Look at the size of their ground. This is why we weren't able to compete in the Championship, because there's teams in League One with grounds this size. It's ridiculous. I can't wait until our ground is finished. We're about 2 years away now. So I'm sure that's gone back a year. I just had a look and it was January 2032. Was it originally January 2031? Because I think my plan that I was talking about on yesterday's episode was we get promoted this year and then get the ground halfway through the season after. But that's not how it will be at all. Will it? Yes, it will. Kev can't do maths. Worry not. Right, here we go. Ibrahim coming down the right-hand side. Finds Stainsby. And it's Ball who hits the post. And it's back out to Ibrahim again. But alas, nothing comes from it because the highlight ends. Millwall have gone ahead in their game against Fleetwood. Millwall managed by Omar, of course. A team that came down with us last year and are challenging us for the automatic promotion spots. The other team who got relegated are Exeter, and they're down in mid-table, so I don't think we need to worry too much about them. But QPR obviously injected themselves into the mix, and I still don't really get what's happened to cause them to do that. They've got the same manager they've had for the last 2 years. I checked all this stuff. They've not gone out and spent loads of money. I guess they've just stumbled across a half-decent team or a half-decent tactic, seemingly at random. Right, Stainsby to Ball, plays Ruggles in and Ruggles scores, and just before half-time, well, 5 minutes before half-time, it's QPR 0, Nuneaton 1, and if things end as they are now, we bring that gap at the top of the table back down to 3 points, as well as showing QPR who's boss. And I think if we're going to go on and win the league, We've got to win today's game. We certainly can't let QPR go 9 points ahead of us after only 13 games. That's an awful lot of distance to make up on them. And of course, we don't need to win the league. It'll be fine if we just get automatic promotion. Davis just wide with an effort from range. But we did win the league with a record points total when we were in League One last time. It would be a shame to come down and then not win the league again, because that would just show that we're not as good as we were 3 years ago. Unless QPR are just brilliant, as they've just shown from this set piece. Perhaps they are just brilliant. And Hugo's useless, isn't he? I am hearing you all down in the comments. I know he's useless, but Griffiths is pretty useless as well. And there isn't a keeper. We found that one keeper. I'm sure I talked to you about him. The Spanish keeper who was 4-star, but we couldn't get a work permit for him. So... Ruggles is in, forces a save out the keeper. Stainsby picks it up, but that would have been the first time, potentially in the entire series so far, where a 4-star current ability goalkeeper that we can actually afford has appeared on our scout reports. And we couldn't get a work permit for him. We might have to wait another 12 seasons before we get another 4-star keeper turn up. But you never know, Hugo might turn into one. We've got him on loan for the next couple of years. He might end up being brilliant. If he doesn't, Griffiths is sat there with the option to be brilliant as well. And if all else fails, we'll just buy Robbie Nadat back, who's loving life down in non-league. And Hughes B has just put us 2-1 up. The assist from Johnson. It's a very similar goal to the one QPR scored to equalise, actually. Set piece comes in from Ball. It sort of bobbles around a little bit and falls free to Hughes. And that was a very tidy finish from Hughes as a centre-back. I'm impressed with that. What I'm not so impressed in is that all of our strikers seem to have fallen out of form at the same time. Afsharian exploded onto the scene when he first arrived, but hasn't scored for a few games. Ruggles went on a long period without scoring, and I think he scored in the last game, but he's on a lower goals-to-game ratio than he was in the Championship for the last 2 years. Fisher just isn't the same player anymore. Stainsby, similar to Afsharian, had a great start and has then gone off the ball a little bit. Cairns is in and out of the team and scores occasionally, but we don't have that one thing that we've always had before, that free scoring striker who is topping the scoring charts and making it all look a lot easier than it probably is. And I know that guy could well have been Lee Weaver and we let him go on the cheap, but I don't know if Weaver would even be getting in the team if he was still here, because we've got, in theory, so many strikers who are better than him. We're going to take off Stainsbury and bring on Afsharian for the last 20 minutes. Neil has come on as well. So this is a substitution. We talked about pre-game, bringing on 2 of the new lads who have impressed since they've been here, although they've had slight wobbles in their form in recent matches, and hopefully the little bit of the rest can allow them to come back into the team even stronger than they were before and lead us to a massive victory. Hugo held on to that. I thought he was flying out and had missed it completely, but he actually held on to it. That was a good piece of goalkeeping, and it caught everyone by surprise on both teams. Here's Barber. What's he going to do? It tries to find ball, but it's a terrible pass over quite a short distance. It was just awful, and here's your typical ball over the top and goal for the opposition. If only there was a solution for that, but no one's ever suggested one. Please don't suggest solutions to that. I have read them all. I'm not going to change it. I'd rather be attacking. I like being attacking. If we concede the odd goal like that, that's fine. I want to compress the play. I want to close down. I want to play high tempo. You can't do that with a deep defensive line. I know, and people have said before, Kev, you can still be attacking with a deep defensive line. Yeah, of course you can. You can't be attacking the way I want to be attacking with a deep defensive line. You can't compress the play up, play high tempo, close down a lot. You need the whole... It needs to all be shoved together. If anything, we should push the defensive line even higher to play the attacking football I want to play and just abandon defending altogether. Some would argue we did that a long time ago. Right, we're going to make another change. I'm going to take off Barber. I don't know if I'm bringing on Hughes or Zaba. Hughes, I think, is it. So he's a more defence. They're both defensive midfielders, I think. I'm not that taken with either of them yet, but Hughes is our player. So let's get Hughes on as the Carrilero. He's a more there you go. He's a natural Carrilero as well. I knew that when I brought him on. Honest. 5 minutes to go. A draw would be fair. A win would be super fun though, so let's go and grab a win. And it's Hughes A. Across that, we've got too many players with the same names. We need to get some nicknames in here. Especially when it's A Hughes, B Hughes. Should we just sign C Hughes, D Hughes and just do an alphabet of Hugheses? That might be a fun little side project with all these youngsters we bring in. There must be a C Hughes we can bring in next summer. Right, here we go. Here comes the winner. Ball. Big pass over the top towards Afsharian, who's in behind, and Afsharian 2 games ago scores that. Or 3 games ago maybe, but he got one of these media reports about him being brilliant. It was Joe Anderson weighing in the media saying that he was brilliant. And since then, not so much. 2-2. We've been mugged 2-2 there because we battered them for clear-cut chances. But that's fine. We've gone away to the best team in the league and picked up a draw. And now we're going to go and beat Barnsley and just further solidify that second place spot that we're now only in on goal difference. Which isn't, I mean, that's no mean feat when you've conceded as many goals as we have. If we just have a look at the detailed league table, we've conceded, is it not on that one? Oh, there you go. We've conceded 18 goals. Actually, that's not too bad. Looking at that, we've actually got one of the best defences in the division, which is remarkable when you look at the amount of times we've had silly results like 6-3, 6-3. To be honest, it doesn't happen often. Perhaps we're a better team than I thought we were. Let's go beat Barnsley. So a few changes for the Barnsley game. Then Dan Fisher comes back in up front as we search for a consistent goal-scoring partnership. We go for Fisher and Stainsby today, which I think is the first time we've used the two of those together. So Ruggles drops back down to the bench, and Afsharian drops even further down on the bench. You know, sub 4's better than sub 7. My assistant manager still picks my substitutes. I don't know. I don't actually know if Ruggles or Afsharian is better, according to my assistant manager, or whether it's just random order. Let me know down in the comments if there is some sense to it. Although really, you probably all pick your own subs because you're not as lazy as I am. Neil comes back into the midfield as well, with Barber dropping down to the bench, and Flores comes into the back four at the expense of Sawyer. As again, I try and work out what my best centre-back partnership is out of Hughes, Flores and Sawyer. Not that any combination of those three is going to be good enough for the Championship when we get back there, as we showed last season. But we don't have any other good defenders coming through, so that's going to be an area we have to strengthen when we get there. But we've talked about it before, and I think that maybe centre-back isn't our problem area. I think our big issue with defending in the Championship was our goalkeeper and our fullbacks. And I think we're in the process of fixing fullback. I think Ball is a big upgrade on Anderson, and we've got Hayden Sheridan coming through as well, who may well be ready next year. Who knows? Ibrahim, I know he's the guy who was there last year, but he is getting better all the time. He's still only 21, 22, I think, Ibrahim, and he is improving. But the goalkeeper is still the big thing. That one day we'll find a goalkeeper. I don't think that day is going to be any time soon, though. Although we do have £350,000 of a transfer budget still to spend. So if the right one does emerge, we could potentially bring somebody in January. And it's now towards the end of October. So probably, maybe even the next episode, we will have identified the goalkeeper that changes everything. And James Ball has just made it 1-0 after 15 minutes. That was an old school Nuneaton goal for you there. Dan Fisher playing in James Ball. Those two used to be the kings around here, and neither of them are regular starters anymore, but they've combined there to show that there's some life left in the old dogs yet. They're like 26, 27 years old each, and they're the old dogs around here. But we're 1-0 up, and that's all that matters. And QPR seem to be having some kind of slip-up going on, because this narrows the deficit at the top to just 4 points if things end as they are. I guess they're still just 0-0 in their game. But you never know, they might go on to lose, and we might narrow the gap after all, despite having that silly 2-2 mugging in the last game. Neil finds Davies, who is looking for an option out on the left-hand side. Looked at Phil Ball twice and then decided to play it back, so that's a little bit worrying. But Neil picks it up again, finds Ball, then Fisher, then Davies, and it's straight at their keeper. But we are creating good chances, and that's something that in that little run where we weren't playing very well, we weren't creating very many chances. But we do seem to be playing a lot better again now, and I think once one of our strikers decides to start scoring prolifically, which surely at least one of them will do at some point, and it might be Dan Fisher. Fisher was in, couldn't make the finish, but Ollie Stainsby is there to tuck away the rebound, and that counts as a second assist of the day for Dan Fisher. Maybe Fisher's the missing piece of the jigsaw up front. We know how good he can be, and he's been very, very involved in both of these goals, using his pace and determination well there. Probably should have scored himself, but we get a little bit of luck with the rebound. It falls to Stainsby, and that's his first goal for a little while. He scored in the first couple of games, I think, and looked like he was going to be the answer. And then he kind of had a couple of off games. Afsharian took his place, and we never really saw Stainsby again. But maybe Stainsby and Fisher is the partnership we've been looking for. Maybe Afsharian comes good again. Maybe Ruggles recaptures some of his championship form. Because remember, it was only yesterday I was talking about my 60-goal championship strike partnership of Ruggles and Afsharian. And now they're both sat on the bench because they don't seem to be able to play together. Which is a problem because they're probably the two best strikers at the club. But because they can't play together, it's difficult to work out who's best and who should be playing with which combination of maybe Stainsby, maybe Fisher. We've still got... what's his face? Zach something or other. I don't remember his surname. He ain't going to make it, is he? But he's still knocking around somewhere. Walker? I feel like I want to call him Walker. In fact, it's not his name. It is now. But he's not even on the bench. He's not going to be anywhere near the first team anytime soon. We probably... I mean, there is an argument that we probably don't need Chris Ruggles anymore. We are making a contribution towards his wages. And as he's not scoring, and we've got at least 3 other strikers who are as good as him, it seems, it might be argued that we could free up some wage budget and use that to invest in the goalkeeper that we need. But then Ruggles, the wage budget, we're £10,000 a week under the wage budget as it is, so it's not like we need the money. If things were getting desperate, cancelling the Ruggles loan would be an option. But at the moment, he is due to be here until the end of next season. And remember, he was scoring a goal every other game in a relegation championship team last year. So if he can recapture that kind of form, then he should be scoring for fun at this level in a team that's winning games. So I think he's just having a bit of a rough patch. So I don't want to do anything hasty with him just yet. Right, let's make some substitutions. Ibrahim's had a terrible game, but we've only got Sawyer on the bench who can play right back, and I don't really want to go down that road. We've messed around with playing Sawyer at right back one too many times. Neil's not having a very good game, so we'll bring Barber on for him. Straight swap to get back to the team that started the last game. Stainsby also not having the best of games, so I'm going to bring on Afsharian to play up front with Fisher. And we'll leave it there for now. And I think we've played Afsharian and Fisher together maybe once before, but we'll get a proper look at the two of them together. And this might end up being the partnership. Who knows? We will find a partnership, and I realise the best way for us to find a partnership would be to pick one and stick with it consistently for a little while, but it's easier said than done when they're all of a similar quality, and Afsharian's just scored a brilliant solo goal. It didn't look any closer to being a partnership between him and Fisher, but it seems that having a couple of games out of the team has done him good because he looked as deadly there as he did in those first few games for us before Joe Anderson ruined his head. So perhaps a couple of games on the bench has fixed him and he'll now be back to scoring at goal a game like he was before the media reports before. But obviously if he continues to do that, it's only a matter of time before he gets more positive media reports. Final substitution, we're going to take off Jay Johnson because he's tired and on a yellow card, and this time we'll bring on Zaba and just swap those two around and do that. We brought on Hughes in the last game. Zaba can get 10 minutes in this game and we'll see if he's any good. I'm not entirely sure. He's another one that I don't know that we necessarily need, that we brought in on loan, really to fill out the numbers. Before we started bringing in players permanently, it was before we signed Hughes, before we brought Richardson in permanently. And I probably wouldn't have brought Zaba in if we'd have made those signings first. But as he's here, we may as well use him, see if he's any good. He's another one who officially is on a 2-year loan. But I don't see us needing him for 2 years unless he becomes very good. But Afsharian's in again and forces a good save out of their keeper. And it would be nice to grab a fourth here to put a full stop on the performance. Davies, corner comes in, it falls to James Ball. What's he going to do with it? Not a lot, really. And Barnsley clear. And that's probably going to be that as far as meaningful highlights go. QPR have now gone ahead in their game as well. So it's a 6-point gap again at the top. And Lee Hugo has just held on comfortably to another high ball. I tell you what, Hugo hasn't made a mistake today. I know we've all given him a bit of stick in the first few episodes of this season, but he is a young lad playing his first games of league football, and he had a nightmare of a debut. But dare I say it, he's actually looked like quite a good goalkeeper today at times. Afsharian cross to Fisher and forces another save out of their keeper. There we go. Just seen Afsharian and Fisher combine. Is that the start of a beautiful relationship between the two of them? Fingers crossed. I mean, they've got goals between them today. Stainsby scored as well. I'm moaning about my strikers, but 3 of our 4 goals today have come from our strikers. So they're obviously doing something right. Zaba out to Afsharian, who has another shot from range. But that is I thought it was the final kick of the game. He must have been offside for a free kick to be given, but not taken. And we end the episode exactly where we started it. 2nd place in the league, 6 points behind QPR, but we are playing bottom of the table Cardiff next, and we should continue on this little run of good form that we're finding ourselves into again as we push towards the halfway point of the season. We're nowhere near it, but, you know, got to make it sound football-y, ain't I? If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.